Make yourself a cup of coffee. We're going to tear down this original matching number 440 Magnum. Obviously, there's something wrong with this engine, so to find out what's going on with it, let's tear it down and see what it's got. What do you say? Let's tear it down. Welcome to my shop, Nick's Garage, and I'm your host, Nick, and I'm the man who takes care of everything right here. I've been building engines for many, many years, and one of my favorites, and a very common engine for me, is the common 440 that came from the Dodge Chrysler Plymouth product. Well, you know what? Here I am today. I want to tear down this engine that belongs to Stefan's Charger, which is a 1970 Dodge Charger RT, matching number, which is a Swiss cheese Charger that we're doing a lot of metal work on it.
Returning viewers will remember the Swiss cheese Charger that was brought to the shop for total restoration after Stefan dragged the car back from Texas where he found it. While the RT's shell is being redone at the body shop, Nick has the time to tear into the original numbers matching 440 that the car rolled off the assembly line with back in 1970.
Now, has this engine ever been taken apart? I believe it has, because if you take a good look, everything should be orange, not green like so on the cylinder head. I'm sure something has been tampered with. How deep? I do not know. So what I want to do is start taking it apart with you viewers. You guys want to enjoy an engine that came out of a car. Of course, it's been over 50 years. It's a 1970 car. I don't know the history of the engine and the car, but I know that it's been sitting around for a while. And I've also noticed that it's a very hard to turn the crank over. I'll just give it a try right now. Just want to see. Because when they took it out of the car, I don't know, I did not take it out of the car. Someone took it out of the car. Someone mentioned that the engine was very hard to turn over. And it seems like it's seized. Oh. Oh, wow. It turns one way. And there it jams. Okay, so we have an issue. I also mentioned to Stefan, who owns that car, who bought it from Texas. He said, he said that, Nick, I want you to build this engine to my car. And I did tell him that, you know, you could get a car a lot cheaper, turnkey, another Charger for a lot less than what you're going to build this car for. But his mind is set on this engine, that car, and there's no other choice. So here I am. We're going to have to tear it down. After all, you have to tear it down before you rebuild any engine in the first place. So it's kind of dirty. We're gonna work on it slowly. Let's take it apart. I worked on this a little earlier because I had to heat up the water pump casting so I can remove the heater tube, because all the big blocks have a bolt right behind the heater tube. So to access that, we take off this and of course remove the water pump. So let's get going on it, see what's causing it so the crank doesn't turn over. Has it ever been rebuilt before? I do not know. The cylinder heads maybe had a valve job. I do not know. They probably did because they're green. They should be orange. I also noticed that the oil pump was being replaced at one time because I don't see any orange paint on it whatsoever. I'm hoping that these short block pistons are the original standard bore pistons, the original 6-pack rods. Even though it is a 440 Magnum, they did come with 440 6-pack rods. But it should be like that. Anyways, we're going to tear it on and find out. Hopefully, if it wasn't being tampered with. The cylinder head should be finishing off with a 906 casting number. We're going to remove the valve covers and find out later on. Intake's the original to the engine. So it's got the single point distributor. All I want to do is tear it down and see what we've got. After all, I got to put back the same engine with a little bit more horsepower than it came from the factory and build it, put it on the dyno, and then of course install it in the car. And the best part of it, my favorite, we're not going with headers, because headers on a B-body 70 Charger with a big block are not easy for installation. You know, of course you can buy the TTI or Hooker headers or American Racing, doesn't really matter. He's gonna go with exhaust manifold just like the way I built my Kawasaki. That's what he wants. And you know what? I'm not gonna argue with him. I'm going with it. You know, there's something wrong with this engine. So to find out what's going on with it, let's tear it down and see what it's got. What do you say? Let's tear it down. You know, this is the way the engine was delivered to me. It was not in the car when we received the engine. So anyways, let's tear it down. And we're gonna start with the distributor. It's already loose. Somebody's loosened it already for me. So let's take a good look. I believe it is genuine distributor. It should be a single point distributor made out of aluminum, which is, here we go. Brown cap, that's genuine for 1970. A cap original should be tan color for 1970. Other years also, but now we're just talking about 1970. This is my favorite era. Okay, here we go. We'll put the parts all on this side. There you go. It is a single point distributor as you can all see. And it's all busted like that. You know, someone who took it apart really was rough with it. And it doesn't matter, we're going electronic ignition anyways. Okay, we'll start. I'd like to see if the cylinder heads are finishing with the casting number 906. Now this valve cover is screwed on. This one's pretty loose. I'll take this one off. This one already, someone taking it off before me. Take out the dipstick out of the way. Like so. All right. This gasket is not there. This is the 1970 valve cover. On the driver's side, you guys can see it's plain. This is a genuine valve cover for a 7440. As we can see, it's got the factory rockers. Now I'm looking for a casting number, which should end with a 906. You know what? Let's take off the rockers, rocker shaft, and then we're going to see the number much clearer. All right. Wow. 916, buddy, where are you? You know, back in the 70s, when you wanted to tear down an engine, these are just the common tools you could do the job with. It's not like today's cars that you need so many electronic devices, type of pliers, clips to remove and all that. This is just a basic engine from the 70s, 60s era, which is very simple. So I'm going to take off the rocker shaft so I can take a better look at the number of the cylinder head. And you know what? Maybe I'll use my impact on this so I can speed up some time for the viewers. I've cracked them loose with my bare hand. There we go. Okay. There we go. This is called a rocker shaft assembly. You got intake and exhaust rockers. If you guys wanted to know that the big block motors do not feed oil through the push rods. If you take a good look, their solid push rods are closed. The oil comes through this cylinder block, through the cylinder head, through the rocker shaft assembly, and then it dribbles through every individual rocker. All right, let's see what we got here. Yes, here it is. 284. 906. Yes, these are the genuine heads to the engine. Here you go. If you take a good look here, it's 906. 906. The high performance 440s were the 906 castings. I just wanted to show you something else here, guys. Whoever assembled the cylinder heads in the past took the dirty head bolts, because the interior head bolts and the exterior head bolts, the short ones, are all the same. If you take a good look, the dirty bolts were installed inside the engine, as you can see here with the orange paint, which is a no-no. Whoever installed these sets back then should have the head bolts clean before they install them inside, because oil goes there and it drains down to the lifter valley and the lifter gallery, I should say, and it could cause some damage. You can see that bolt was on the outside before. When you take cylinder heads off and you want to reinstall them again after you do a valve job, it would be nice to have the head bolts clean before you install them on the head. In this case, it's a big no-no, but anyways, as you guys seen the bolt, it was a dirty bolt, which shouldn't have been done like that. But let's keep going. Let's take off the other valve cover, see what we got. I also wanted to show you guys, on a 440 Magnum 1970, there are 4 bolts to a valve cover, and the 2 exteriors are studded like so. You can also see it over here. You see that? There's a stud there. You know, I also wanted to say something else. Maybe someone can ask me this, answer me this question I have is, let me just take off the valve cover, give me a second. It is a genuine valve cover 1970 also. I wanted to say, this is an original oil cap, and if anybody can answer me this, I don't know what it stands for. There's a genuine oil cap. On one side you have a letter F, and one side you got a letter E. What is it for? I do not know. So if you guys can send me a comment, tell me what it is, I'll be glad to know what it is. Thank you. All right, let's take off this valve cover. There we go. The dirt just fell in there right now as I cracked the valve cover loose. Now I'm going to check if these push rods are bent after. One way to find out if a push rod's bent, you get a nice flat surface and you spin it. And if you see it wobble, you know it's bent. But anyways, on a piece of glass would be the perfect thing to do it with. Okay, let's crack the intake off now. 906. Okay, you guys, you want to take a look, there's a better, cleaner casting number on this side if you wish to see it. This is what I'm talking about. That is a genuine cylinder head to this engine. 1970 era. Okay, we'll take off the intake manifold now. You know, just before I even tore this engine apart, I realized there's a lot of pieces missing, like bracketry and so forth. The accelerator pedal, gas pedal bracket is missing. The throttle spring bracket is missing. But it doesn't matter, we're gonna find all that stuff anyways. You know, when cars are bought in pieces, not everything is there. If you take a good look, the water pump is missing. For what reason? I do not know. It's strange, you know, you take apart an engine, you don't take it apart all the way, you take out a couple of pieces, then you just give up. You know, you can mix up all these bolts. I know exactly where they go. These are genuine grade 8 intake manifold bolts. They're genuine to this motor. And also they have no washers. They're directly on like this with no washers on the intake to the cylinder head. All right, let's crack off the intake. This is a genuine cast iron intake, dual plane. Wow, look what's under here. I found some squirrels living in here. I found some peanut shells. What do you think? They made a hotel out of this car. Look in there. Wow. Oh well, you know what? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised what we got. We just found that the squirrels, mice, rats, I don't know who lived in this car. They sure made a hotel out of it. You can see they lived inside the dash, inside the car, inside the seats, inside the engine, and everywhere. You know what? There's little critters. What do you want them to do? They gotta find a place to live anyways. If I was one of those critters, and you know there's a 70 Charger in the field, I'd get myself a home built into that Charger, especially in the seating area, like in the back seat or even under the dash, and make myself at home. Why not? They did. Why shouldn't I? You know what? They're creators that God created, so what can you do, you guys? They have to find a home also. They found a Charger, nobody was working with it or driving it, so they made a home out of it. Can you blame them? There's a lot of rust in here, man. Okay. Dirt, grinded, rusted. Wow, this is what I like, and you know what? I can't wait to build this one. When I get through with it, it'll look like brand new. Just like my Kowalski. Okay, here we go. And now, you know, these days, back in 1970, they did not use a sealer like silicone. They didn't exist then on the automotive industry. And as you can see, it just peeled off. They probably used a shellac with a steel with a steel intake gasket and did their job. So here you have it. You know, today we put silicone in the corners, guy, to make sure it's a guaranteed no leak. You know, you put a little tab, very little all the way around, so you got a guaranteed no leaks. And look at these little critters. There it is, you guys. Time to clean up. Okay, first thing I want to do is I want to remove the pulley. I wanted to see if it's got the special external balanced harmonic balancer like a 6-pack has. Also the 440 Magnum. Here we go. You know, when you get older, it pays to have some power tools once in a while. If you guys are wondering why there's 4 grooves on this pulley, it's because this was a AC car, air conditioning, which we're not going back to air conditioning on this car when we get through with it. So we're gonna have to find a pulley that has 2 grooves in it. One for the alternator, one for the power steering. So this one is not going back on. And if you take a good look, just like a 446 pack and a 440 Magnum, it's got the 6-pack rods just by notice the offset counterweight on the harmonic balancer. Neat. All right, we'll start taking off the water pump assembly. I have it loose a little bit, but let's see if I can take it off right now. Get it out of the way. Curious to see what kind of pistons are in here. I really want to know if they're factory pistons or not. You guys, there's additional pulleys for air conditioning, so we're not going back to that. Here we go. This is all bracketry for air conditioning. All right, now we'll take this off. This is the water pump housing. It's made out of cast iron. It's also genuine to the engine. Let's see if it's got the genuine timing chain in there, which is a nylon gear. So let's find out. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I need to keep the bolt on because we cannot turn the engine over, so I need to keep it for to spin the engine over. Okay, let's take off the fuel pump. Yeah, sure is in the dirt crust. You know, the fuel pump was also painted orange from the factory. But in this case, I think someone's put a Hemi fuel pump on it. You can tell that the bolts are orange. That pump should be painted. But on the Hemi, the fuel pump is not painted. So it's telling you that this pump is not genuine to this engine. And of course, this is for Hemi. A fuel pump on a 440 is not the one with the screws on it like so. They're so dirty you can't see it. Anyways, to tell you that the fuel pump is incorrect for this engine. Okay, next, let's take off the exhaust manifolds. You know, sometimes, you know, you want to build a 440 high performance. These cars come with 3/8 fuel line and a simple 6 pounds mechanical fuel pump. But if you want to upgrade it, all you have to do is buy a Hemi pump, which works 6 to 8 foot-pounds of fuel pressure, which is an upgrade because, you know, some people, they put a different intake or a bigger carburetor or so forth, 4-foot headers, and you want more fuel. So what you do is you take off the original Carter pump and you install a Hemi pump, which is it bolts right on, but it's a one with the diaphragm that is a 2-piece pump with a bunch of screws on it, so you can see the diaphragm when you remove the cover. On the other one, on the stock 440 fuel pump, it's just a solid piece that you cannot take apart. So in this case, you know, maybe this guy wanted to do some upgrading, he put a Hemi fuel pump on it. And for what reason it's all genuine, I do not know. Okay, rip off the exhaust manifolds. You guys, don't think that this thing was this strong. I cracked the nuts loose before I used the machine because sometimes they'll just vibrate and not break him loose. So just want to know, I cracked them loose with my muscles before I use this impact. You know, when it comes to the exhaust, nuts don't turn very easily. Like so. Okay. Looks like we have an issue here. I can't get in there. Time to get the hammer out. 9/16, here we go. We need a deep socket. Where is it? I'm gonna have to hit it hard. Let's try it this way. Here we go. This won't do the job. Oh, here it is. Let's try this one. Try a 6-corner. I don't think this is gonna come out. I think I loosened only one side. Wow. Yeah, looks like I'm gonna have to heat them up. They're not coming out. You know what? I loosened up the other side, not this side. Oh, okay, you know what? Time to heat them up. Okay, we got this one. You know what? Let me put some weight on it. There's only one left. Let's give it our best shot. Here we go. I know it's a long extension, but it doesn't matter. Go. And there we have it. So let's crack them loose now. There you go. Look what's living in it. These critters went everywhere, didn't they? Check that out. Here. Here we go. What a mess, eh?
Mouse eviction day.
Yes, it is. And now let's see this side. Here we got some more. Yeah, if you take a look, it's got a crack right here, you guys. You see? Very common crack on the right inside exhaust manifold. Right here. It happens very often on the 440 high performance exhaust manifolds on the right hand side. Well, we're going to replace it or we're going to get it fixed. Okay, now we'll take off the oil pump. This one's nice and easy. It's on the outside. You know, I don't see any orange paint on the pump whatsoever, and I'm sure this has been replaced. There we go. We'll pick up some speed with this here. There you go. Let's tap it off. There we go. There you have it. I know that this pump is not genuine because the cap, which has the bypass valve spring in there, is a 4-corner plug when it comes from Chrysler. So this one is a jobber, it's an aftermarket. So this tells you that this pump was being replaced, and of course there is no orange paint on it whatsoever. You know, everything's factory stuff except for the oil pump I can't wait to see the timing chain actually. And okay, the pump is being replaced. The cylinder heads had a valve job. They're the heads that belong to the cylinder block, I should say. It is a 1970 era. So right now I'm curious to see the pistons. So the next step is we're gonna start removing the cylinder heads. Now, let's see if the short block was touched. See if it has the original, genuine pistons, to see if it's a standard bore, not being oversized. And you know what, I'm curious to see if this piston, how far is it from the deck, from the factory. So if this is a factory 440 Magnum, you guys really wanna know what is the piston to the deck clearance? Well, let's find out. It might be below, might be even, might be above, we don't know. Let's take a look and find out if it's genuine. Here we go.
But before he continues, Nick takes a moment to refresh himself from his Nick's Garage aluminum water bottle. One of many quality items that help support the channel.
Yeah, keeps the water cool, man. It's good, I love it. All right, let's get to work. Let's crack off one head. Get my impact extension. I believe it's 11/16. Okay, here we go. And when we crack a cylinder head loose, we start from the ends and then go inboard. The opposite of when you're retorquing them down. Okay, here we go. What's happening here? There we go. Okay, we'll just put one bolt to hold the head from falling down. Let's crack it loose. Let's see what cylinder head gasket was used when this job was done. From the factory, it came with a 20 thou shim head gasket. Now whoever did the head job on this, I'm curious to see what they put. Nope, every bolt is off. Okay. Looks like I'm gonna have to use a hammer on this one. Okay, here we go. Take off the bolt. There we go. This is really clear. 906 castings. All right. Okay. Here we go. You know, this gasket is a Philpro gasket, which is 40 thou thickness compared to the 20 thou factory thickness. So whoever did the valve job on this, by adding a thicker gasket, he dropped the compression ratio and of course lost power. Oh, anyways, doesn't matter. We're not gonna do that mistake. All right, let's take a look inside the cylinders. Wow. Okay. And these are genuine flat top pistons, no notches. Now, if this was a 6-pack, it would have 4 eyebrows or 4 valve release as they came from the factory with the 6-pack pistons. But since this is a 4-barrel Magnum engine, this is a correct piston, flat top, no dish, no notches whatsoever. And the cylinders are pretty rusty. Summer's here finally. We got the doors open. I don't have to wear jackets. I wear my gardening gloves. Why? Because I don't want to keep washing my hands 30, 40 times a day. So let's take off the cylinder head right now. I just want to remove this dipstick so it won't be in my way. You know, when you have a dipstick and you want to put it back in the block, you bought a brand new dipstick. For you guys that keep banging it from on top, all you need is a 3/8 open-end key. Put it right over here. I'm going to show you where the lip is. Okay, like so. You take a 3/8 key, you put it right here. Then you take a long screwdriver, put it right next to the tube with the key like so. Then you take a hammer and you hit it right here on the top of the screwdriver. And this is the way you press it into a block. And this way you don't damage the tube at all. So if you guys want to know a little trick, that's how it's done. Some people take a chisel or something. No, take a 3/8 key, put it like that, take a screwdriver, bang on the key, press it in, and you're done. Okay, let's rip off the other cylinder head. You guys, once you start removing all the head bolts, just put about a couple of bolts loose like so. So when you crack the head loose, it doesn't fall down on you. Do we have everything off? Here's one right here. We're good. Okay, here we go. Oh boy. Oh wow. There's a valve missing. Look. A valve broke off. Gee. Okay, we have a mystery here. All right, what do we got here? Oh wow. These critters went everywhere, didn't they? Here's the valve. Right there. Check that out. So this is what you call dropping a valve. You know, you can see these little critters. They went practically, there was no carburetor on the intake manifold. So what they did is they went through the intake manifold, down through the cylinder head. Of course, the exhaust valve head was not there. So they went into the cylinder and made themselves at home. If you take a good look, this is exactly what they've done. Now I know why the engine doesn't want to turn over. Okay, so there's a valve in there. I'm sure there's a valve in there. Wow, nobody told me how to drop valve. Well, now we know. Check this out. There it is. The missing link to the cylinder head. That is the reason why the engine didn't want to turn over. Here it is. There's your answer. Okay, what a mess. What a mess. Did it put a hole in the piston? I do not know. Let's take a look. I don't think this valve bunched around. Look at this. That one's stuck open. If you can take a good look. Actually, wow. I think it's got a bent valve here. What a mess. There's the exhaust valve. There's the missing link to the this chamber. Did it put a hole through the piston? I don't know, but you know what? I'm going to turn over the engine. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, look how much dirt is in there. Okay, now it's going to turn over. Let's do the cylinder number one. You know, wherever valve was stuck open, that's where these little critters went into the cylinders, made themselves at home. Wow. Imagine now they're living in there and it was a running engine. Someone got in and cranked it over and started it. Ooh, those poor critters. They would have been flushed out through the exhaust. Well done. Okay, here we go. Okay, there you have it, you guys. Now I know why the engine want to turn over. Gee, I never expected that one. Stefan, if you're watching, you bought an engine with a dropped valve, but maybe it dropped after when it was in storage for a long time. I'm not sure, because from what I see, the piston has no damage on it. It probably dropped when it was in storage for some reason. Wow, yeah. And strange, very strange. Okay, there you have it. They look like genuine pistons. I'm just gonna take a vernier, just measure it quick to see if it is a standard bore, which is a 4.320, if it's never been bored out. Okay, here we go. Just take a fast look. Let me just rip off the gasket, or go on the other side. Look at all the rust in here, man. You know, I am measuring 4.310. Factory's 4.320. So we got 4.310. So that tells you that it is a standard bore. So this should be genuine pistons. Now, just for curiosity, let's see how far the piston is from the deck. Okay, here we go. First of all, we have to find our top dead center. We'll start with this one here. Okay, here we go. You know, I've done so many motors like this. You know, genuine motors, they all have different heights, depending on the pistons. I don't know, for some reason, different years, different applications. For me, from a New Yorker, maybe from a Magnum, or maybe from a 6-pack, they all vary. But here I got a true blue 1970 440 Magnum, matching motor to the 440 Charger that Stefan has bought. So now let's go make a measurement. Bring the pistons straight up, top dead center. Wow, these critters really made a mess. Anyways, you know what? It's an abandoned engine lying around with the car. They figure nobody's using the engine, let them make themselves at home. I gotta find a piston with no carbon. There we go. Give me a screwdriver. Let's clean it out a bit. I'm sure you guys are curious to see what is the piston deck height. I should say piston to the deck. You know what? Getting my hands dirty all over again. Here we go. This is the first time I'm taking apart an engine with a dropped valve with no mechanical damages, except for a half exhaust valve. Okay, here we go. This is a genuine piston. Now we got to bring our piston to the highest point. Like so. Let's zero it in. Yeah, yeah, ballpark figure. There it is. Let's see. Okay. That's just about it. You guys, you can tell that. Look how far it is from the deck, just by with the naked eye. And now, let's make a measurement. Here, let me clean this a little bit further. Here we go. We're going to zero in our dial indicator, like so. Bring it to the zero mark, and now let's bring it to the top of the piston where it is at top dead center. There you have it, you guys. We're just about 95 thou below the deck. That's very strange. There we go. About 95 thou below the deck. You know, I've seen some with 20, 30 underneath, but this one here, 90 thou under the deck, you're not gonna make power with that. That's not really 10.5 compression ratio, that's for sure. Anyways, there you have it. I'm just gonna measure one piston. I'm sure if I measure another one, it will be the same thing because they all seem to have the same pistons. You know, 95 thou below the deck is no compression whatsoever, plus a 40 thou head gasket or 44 thou, whatever the number is, not a 20 thou shimmer that came from the factory. So this engine made no power whatsoever. And does it have the 6-pack rods? I'm sure it does. As you can see, it's got the 6-pack damper. And from what I see, I don't think anybody's molested with the short block. But you know what? I want to see the timing chain is genuine. Let's rip off the timing chain cover and take a look. Okay, we're gonna have to use a puller to remove the harmonic balancer because it is press fit onto the crankshaft. So we're gonna use a puller to pull it off. So I'm just gonna put it on in a few minutes, like so. Won't take long. Okay, the impact with the 3/4. Okay, here we go. You know, to remove a harmonic balancer, you always need a puller on a 440. Don't bang it off with a hammer, you damage it. There we go. Wow, you can't find these bolts. Okay, let's look for this one now. I gotta dig it out. Where's my screwdriver? Here it is. Yeah, dirt and grime. This is genuine, you guys. Check this out. And there's that original paint. These bolts are off. Just want to show you guys something. When you pull off an oil pan or a timing chain cover, I know it's stuck on. What you need to know is that when you put a screwdriver and you pry it, always pry it where there's a bolt. This way, when you tighten the cover, it squeezes it back in place after you bend the sheet metal or the oil pan where the bolts go. If you do it in the middle, between the bolts, you make a bend. So when you put a new gasket, no matter what you do, that opening is still there, the gasket's not compressed, and then you'll have a major oil leak. See where the bolts go? Right here. Ah, look at that one. Very easy. Wow. That's got the genuine. There's a slinger. And there's the chain. Okay, there we go. Nylon gear. Chrysler. Yep, all genuine, you guys. There you have it. And of course, the 440 Magnum 6-pack and Hemis all came with a 6-quart oil pan, as you can see right here. So I'm going to take off the pan right now. I want to take a quick look, see if there's 6-pack rods in there. All right, here we go. Matter of fact, I don't know why, there's only 2 bolts holding the pan. I did not touch it. This is the way it came in. Here, there's one here. Maybe someone took off the pan for some reason. I don't know. Here we go. But the engine does turn over now. You know, if you guys take a good look, we drained the oil when the engine came in a few weeks ago. We drained the oil, even with the drain plug off for half an hour. Then it stopped dripping. We put the plug back in, and this was always left within half a quart of oil still in the pan, as you guys can see. And believe me, you take out a pan, that's what you got. And look at all those critters. Look at that, what is that, peanut shells? What's in there, man? Anyways, I'll check it after. God, there's so many. Those critters went everywhere in this engine. And there's a window tray. It comes with all high-performance big blocks. Okay, now one thing left to remove are the lifters. Now that we're going to put them in order, we're going to scrap them anyways. You know what, it doesn't matter, let them fall. Oh, another thing I want to say. Let me just take off the oil pressure switch, which is situated in the back. I just wanted to say, here, let me take it off. This is the oil pressure main line. Comes from the oil pump. If you want to know if the car is equipped with a gauge or with a light, very simple. When you got this at the rear of the engine, this is a switch for the or sensor for the oil pressure gauge. You know it's not a light. This is for the oil pressure gauge. And it was when it comes with a light, this is the switch you get. This is the one for the light. This is the one for an oil pressure gauge. There's the difference between the two of them right now, so you guys will know. Light, gauge. All right, I'm just gonna turn the engine over. A couple of lifters are gonna fall out of place, but I don't care. Doesn't matter. I wanna know if it's got the 6-pack rods. Here we go. Here we go. I'm really surprised. Wow, the pistons are so low. And we have a valve that the exhaust valve head came off and the motor was not running. Strange, no damage to the piston, no damage to the cylinder or to the chamber. There we go. Doesn't matter. Okay. You know, that's good news. That's good news when the lifters fall out of place. That means the lifter boards are good. Here's the oil pump drive. Got to take that off earlier. Here we go. Okay. Does it have the 6-pack rods? Oh, wow. This is the oil strainer. It's hand tight, which is absolutely normal. There we go. Yeah, look, you have the core plugs or fuse plugs replaced. I just want to get my light, see if it's a 6-pack rod. Now I'm curious to remove one rod just to see what size the bearings are. Now, has anybody been in this block? I'm not so sure. One way to find out, let's take one out. And those are genuine valve lifters from Chrysler. They're genuine. If you take a good look, all the connector rods are numbered from the factory and all of them are in the same order, 1 to 8. Okay. You know what? If you guys take a good look right here, these connector rods look so black. If you take a good look, look at these, look at that. Look at the discoloration. That means that thing must have spun a bearing. These are genuine color, but the first two are black. Take a good look. That's an indication of a spun bearing. Let's take a look. Here we go. Okay, let's tap out the connector rod cap, which is black. I'm just curious to see if the bearing. There we go. I want to see if it's a genuine bearing. See if anybody. It's been inside the motor. Let's take a good look. That's strange. The rod is black. I'm trying to see. Standard bearing. It's not undersized. Why is the rod and the crank black? Why? No, bearing standard. So now, just, you know, usually when it's black, that bearing must be scratched up. If you take a good look, it's not scratched up. It's not cooked, it's not burnt. What's going on here? You know what? Let's knock out the piston, take a look further in. Very strange, you know. Sometimes I wonder. Okay, let me take these bolts up. They are Chrysler pistons. Oh yeah. Okay. Here's the 6-pack rod. It's a true blue 6-pack rod. I don't know why the rod is black. It should have spun a bearing, but it looks like it didn't spun a bearing, but the rod is black. Why? Strange. I'm trying to figure this out. You know, sometimes I find strange things. Very strange. Let's summarize, see what's going on here. Now we got the other half bearing. Standard bearing. Cap number, you see cylinder number 1. Just want to show you that every cap is numbered from the factory. I want to know why. The connector rod is black, it didn't spun a bearing. Something I haven't seen before. Let me just put this together. I want to show you guys. Okay. Flat top Chrysler piston, genuine. Remember they always said they always drill the area for the wrist pins to be lubricated. 6-pack rod, you can tell the beam is straight. It's a copy of a Hemi. The rod is black. You can see it here, discolored. For some reason it must have overheated or something on the no oil pressure or something, I'm not sure. And the bearings are not damaged whatsoever. Wow, this is strange. Okay, they have a little discolor on the bearings. Standard bearings. The crank, this is good. Very strange. You know what? Maybe it's the color of the oil, like a black soak into the front of the crankshaft. I'm not sure. You know what? I'll be right back. Let me just put on the polisher and see what happens. I'm just gonna buff it a little bit. Let's see what really went wrong. Now if the rod is really black, it'll be black within the metal. I'm just gonna see if I can just take off the surface color just to see where I stand. No, it's all good. It did not spun a bearing. No, it's all good. It's all good. Okay, sorry, I must have misled everybody. If you guys take a look, this is cylinder number 1. If you can see from the cap and rod are also numbered from the factory. This is cylinder number 1, so this is correct. 6-pack rods, Chrysler genuine 440 piston, non-6-pack, 95 thou below the deck. I just passed it on the steel brush. I wanted to make sure, was the connector rod cooked from a spun bearing or anything like that? No, it's just black, maybe for other reasons. I do not know. If you take a good look at the front, it's all black. I thought it spun a bearing. That's what happens when you spin a bearing, everything turns black, dark blue, cooked, burnt. But in this case, it's not. It's got the genuine standard bearing. It's Chrysler bearings, standard, it's not undersized. So the bearing's not spun. The connector rod is not black. I just passed it on the steel brush. The black color came off. So it's not a spun bearing. We have a true blue Chrysler 4-barrel piston, 6-pack connector rod from the factory. And it is what it is. The only damage on this motor, yes, it's all genuine, is that missing valve, exhaust valve on the cylinder head, which I've never seen before. Take off a cylinder head and you see the exhaust valve head just sitting on the piston. Now how did that fall off? And there's no piston damage and there's no chamber damage. If you take a good look, it never ran with the valve out of place. This must have dropped one time on its own while the engine was not running. Doesn't make any sense, eh? That's strange. There he goes. Look at that. Maybe somebody had wanted to do a cold start, crank it over or something. Maybe it just touched the piston and snapped. Maybe it was already cracked, I'm not sure. But look at this. It must have been not running for a long time. Look at the valve seat, it's all pitted, rusted away. Look at this. It sure needs a valve job. New valves. They're all finished. Question is, how did this valve drop and the motor wasn't running? Because you can tell there's no chamber damage and there's no piston damage. So what really happened? You tell me. Okay, I just want to take a look at that piston. Let me bring it up to the furthest point. Take a look. Cylinder number 6. There we go. Look, you can see how far that piston is below the deck. Check it out. It's almost 100 thou. Okay, look at this, you guys. No damage whatsoever. This is the cylinder we found the valve just dropped in without the engine running. There you have it. Very, very strange. And we just found it sitting right there, like so. Wow, strange, man. Very strange. Never seen this before. You know something, after so many years, I've never seen this.
Even after nearly 5 decades of taking these engines apart, Nick can still find mysteries inside them. But this mystery story is about to become a horror show.
Okay, let's take a look inside the pan. All that stuff, what's in there. There we go. Let's see what's in there. It looks strange. What is that? Oh, wow. Yeah, that came out of the oil pan. I saw it earlier. You know, there's a few more. Jeez, look, they made a nest in there. Look at that. Here.
The insect graveyard is one thing, but then Nick finds something really scary.
Hey, look at this. Look at this. We got a bearing here. What the hell is this? What the hell is that? What would a half a Canadian watt bearing doing on the oil pan? What's that doing in there? Let's take a look. Now there's a lot of mystery shit going on. Dated June 1969. Cleveite bearing. Could it be to this motor? Maybe this motor's been molested before. It must have been. It must have been. It must have been. Let's see. Yeah. There's a bearing. What would a bearing be sitting in the pan? This is very strange. Wow. Wow, check out the critters, eh? I can't believe this. First time I see that. I'll keep digging. Maybe some more on the other side. Holy, look at that. Check this side out. Check this side out. There's some more on this side. Check that out. It's a whole family living in here. Look at the critters living in there, eh? Jesus, Murphy. Are those Texan bugs or what?
It's easy to understand how some Texas bugs got into the engine, but Nick is wondering about that bearing he found in the pan. He knows it didn't walk in on its own.
I'm looking to see where the other bearing came from. That's a half a connector rod bearing we found in the oil pan. How did that get in there? Look. There's no way a bearing could come out of place and the rod is perfectly in place. There's no way. No way. It didn't come out of this, here. No, all the bearings are in place. No. I don't know, somehow, did they drop the bearing in there for some reason? I have no idea. Okay, all the rods are attached. There's no way that bearing could come off. That bearing fell in place. I don't know how it fell in there. It doesn't make any sense. It's not from none of these connector rods, neither the one I took out. What a strange. Well, I don't know what to say. No, that bearing was dropped in there somehow. Is the engine being tampered with? You're right. It's got a bug in there too. Man, these critters went everywhere. Now this bearing took a beating because the engine was running when this bearing was in place. You can tell it got all mushed up. So this bearing came from somewhere, fell in the oil pan, engine was running, and this is what you got. Boy, what a messy little engine. You know what? Time to rebuild it. Here we go. And if you guys in Texas know what kind of a critter this is, please let me know, because I've never seen anything like it before. I've taken a lot of engines apart, you know. Did I find a bearing damage to that in an engine? Not really. Either it was spun in the rod, or the rod came off, the bearing came off. But finding a piece of bearing that's all mushed up, sitting in the oil pan, I'm sure the engine was running. Not from this engine, maybe from another engine. The date code is 669. It is for a 70 engine. Can it be from this motor? This time we'll take it apart. It's got all the original 6-pack rods all in order. It's got a standard, I measured one journal, or should I say one connected rod bearing. It is standard, it is not undersized. So what really happened? I do not know. Maybe you guys, you can tell me that one. You know what? I'll go into it further when I take out the crank completely. If I get into further details, I'll keep you guys posted. But in the meantime, here we are. We dismantled a complete 440 engine that belongs to Stefan's Charger. It is a matching motor. It's got the 6-pack rods. It is a 440 Magnum. Pistons are 95 thou below the deck. It did come with a Hemi oil pan. And what's in the oil pan is all these critters. Strange. Is the spring ready to fly off? Let's see. No, that valve is not popping out. That valve stem is jammed in there. Did it break off? I guess it did. How? I don't know. Very strange. And now what we got is a Swiss cheese mystery charger. There you guys. There you have it, you guys. Stefan, if you're watching, this is your engine. And then when what becomes of it after, it'll be great. But right now, tearing it down, this is what we found. This is what it is. That's what we have. And you guys, thanks for watching us here on Nick's Garage. So stay tuned for further episodes. Thank you very much. And you guys, if you look down below the video, we have a whole bunch of merchandise that you guys can buy. So whatever you like, buy it, love it, wear it, and enjoy it. And help spread the word of Nick's Garage. And if you have some time, check out our Patreon page. We have extra content and you guys can watch it and take it from there. And we'll see you next time.